What's going on, fellow web developers? My name is Tyler Potts, and in today's video I'm bringing you a full stack login form that actually works and is secure. We're going to be using Vue.js as the front end along with Vue Router as a module we import. We're also going to be using Node.js and Stytch's API to allow us to use some email and password authentication that is actually secure and not just as simple as enter a username, enter your email, log in. This actually checks your password to make sure they're secure enough to use by have I pwned it, and there's a bunch of other stuff that I'll get into later on in the video. So let's start off with what we're going to be building today. So you can see here we have the secret app. You can log in or register. Let's just try and register an account. I may have already registered and forgot to delete it, so we'll see. So here we'll just say, we'll do something lame. Let's just do test 1 2 3 4, and again test 1 2 3 4. Hit register. And password does not meet our strength requirements. That is true. We need it to be strong. So we're going to say super secure with capitals and everything. 1 2 3 4. Super secure. 1 2 3 4. Hit register. A username with that email already exists. Cool. But you can see how that works. Now let's try and log in. So we'll say tylerpottsdev@gmail.com. And then we'll say super secure 1 2 3 4. And there we go, we are now logged in, and this is a route, this is just our home route. We'd log out now, and we try and go straight to that home route, which we'll just, you'll see it redirects us. That's a navigation guard, which is in Vue, which I'm going to show you how to do. But this is what we're building today. It's super secure, super easy to do, and you can lock a whole admin system behind a password protected thing and whatnot. I'm going to show you how to use it all, and that's all thanks to Stytch's API that I'm going to go over now. So what is Stytch? Stytch is an authentication platform for developers. I've done a few other videos on this channel before. I'll link them down below. I've gone over magic links, we've gone over Google authentication and some other things as well. So as you can see here, we have email magic links, SMS passcodes, you've got email passcodes, embeddable magic links, WhatsApp passcodes, OAuth logins like Facebook, Google, etc. And yeah, a bunch more. And the newest addition is a modern upgrade to passwords. And if you click this at the top here, you'll see all the new stuff which they've added for passwords and why it's so much more secure than just a simple, you know, password protected thing. So as we scroll down, you'll see here we have modernizing passwords, we have breach detection, strength assessment, which is really cool, and we also have safe account deduplicating, and more human-centric password reset with magic links, of course, which makes it a lot more easier to sign in. And there you go. So this is a lot of things they bring to the table. So guys, the first thing we're going to want to do is you're going to need to sign up or log in at the top here, and once you log into Stytch, you'll be greeted with this. Now I currently have no users or anything, we're at home. We don't really need to mess around with anything else, but we will need our API keys for once we start setting up the Node side of things. So without further ado, let's actually get into the code. Alright guys, so the first thing we want to do is inside a new blank folder in Visual Studio Code or whatever you want, we're going to open up the terminal. Now in the terminal, we're just going to type, I'm just going to take these off, I don't actually need these headphones on. Anyway, sorry, we're just going to type in here a new feat application. So I'm going to say npm create feat at latest dot. Now this just says, hey, create a new feat application in this current directory. Then we're going to do $template Vue. That means we're going to be setting up a Vue feat project in our thing. So we hit enter. It should only take a couple of seconds here. You can actually see all the files appear here. There you go. And now we need to just do npm install, and we need to install a dependency called Vue Router, which is what we use to actually create navigation guides and navigate for our project with different pages. Alright guys, I just turned off my face cam for the rest of this video, just so you know, because I wanted to make sure you could see everything on this as well. But there we go. So let's just remove this. And now we have that in our side here, we can actually start setting up some things. So the first thing we want to do is delete our assets. We're going to delete our components folder, and that is fine for now. What we want to do though is create a new file called router.js. Now inside of router.js, this is where we're going to set up our routes. So we need to import a few things from FuRouter. We need to create router, which is obviously going to be the main router we create, what we need. Then we need to create web history to allow us to actually create a web history. It's something you need to pass into create router. Now we need to come up with our root. So we need to say const root is equal to, and it's going to be an array of objects. We're going to have a path, which is going to be the path. So this is going to be our slash path, which will be our home path, which we're going to set the name of home. And then our component, we don't actually need this Webpack chunk. Thank you, Copilot. By the way, if you're wondering what's auto-completing, I'm using something called Copilot by GitHub. It's really cool. It allows you to type code a lot quicker. It kind of understands what you're doing, and that's why I'm using it, just so you know. And now we need one more thing in this root. So to secure a root, we need to pass through some metadata, and we're going to say requires auth. Now this could be named anything here. This is just a demo. So instead of just requires auth, you could say auth or secure. But I'm just going to say requires auth because it's what I'm used to writing. And we're going to set that to true. Now we're going to make a check later on in a navigation guide to say if we have requires true, then we're going to make it secure. But for now, let's just do a second one here. And this is going to be our login page. Name login and component will be the login. We don't need any metadata for this because if it's not there, it's going to assume it's false. Because this one does not need to be authenticated. So then we're going to copy this. Paste this, and this one is going to be our register route. So we're going to say register, register, and also register there. There we go. So that's all of those. So now we actually have to create our router or initialize it. So what we're going to say is const router is equal to the create router function we've already imported. We then need to set up our history, and we're going to be using create a HTML5 history there. It gives you a little thing, good old thing. And then we're going to pass our routes through. These are all the routes we're going to be using. Then we can say export default routes. Hit save, and now to use this, router, I'm going to call it, not routes. We have to export our router, not our routes. And then we're going to go in our main. So now we need to use this, because currently, you know what, let me show you. Let's start our surfer. So we're going to start by saying npm run def. Let's close this sidebar for a second. So you can see that's running. Oh, we have some issues. And that's because we don't have these components. So we need to go into our app and just remove. Let's just delete everything from within here. Let's delete all of this, and we're going to put inside this template, we're going to add a div, and then we're going to use something called router view. And there you go. That's just in there to that, and we don't need any styling just yet. And there you go. That should fix all our issues. We've just got a blank page now. We could put something above here, say H1 saying hello. And there you go. We've got that there. Cool. So that's what we've currently got, but we're not using our router. And we don't have any pages to link to, because if you remember in our router we said we've got to use these components to actually register it. So let's start off by creating these few components and just add some boilerplate code to it. We're going to create a views folder, and we're going to create a home.view, we're going to create a login.view, and finally we're going to create a register.view there as well. So in our home view we just want a template, and we're just going to do a main tag with a h1 for now that just says hello world. That's our home page. Then we'll copy this, paste this into our login view, and we'll change this to say login. And finally for our register page we'll just change this to say register. Hit save, and nothing's going to happen still. That's because we need to actually use our router. So inside of our main.js, we need to say router from, and then we can say /router to get the router we're using. We then want to use it by saying .use router just like that. And now you can see there is an error here which is saying import. Oh, so it looks like in our router.js I did ... We only need a singular dot because our router is in our source folder. Normally I would put my router in a router folder and then do ... But because it's just such a simple router, I don't need any extra pages. I don't need separate route folders. So this is simple and easy enough to use. And there you go. You can see we get the hello. Let's remove that from our app. There we go. So now you can see we get the login page. If we delete the login, you can see we get hello world, which is our home page. And then we can also go to register to get our register page. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? That's some pretty basic stuff. It's just routing around, and we can create different pages. If we want more routes, we can add them in here. But currently, we can still get to our home page, which isn't what we want because we want this to be our super secret page, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add a router or navigation guard to our router. So let's just close this and hide the sidebar. We just need our router.js file, and underneath where we create our router, before we export it, we just want to say router dot before each. We're then going to create an asynchronous function because we're going to be using async functions later on. And then we're going to get a few different things passed through. We're going to get to, which is the page, which is going to have all the information of the page we're going to. We're going to have from, which is the page stuff from, and next, the page we're going to next. So we can now just say if to.matched, which is going to be the pages we're going to. We're going to check if some of the records, which is only going to be one, has the meta requires auth. So this means these will be authenticated. So authentication check. We're going to need to make an authentication check. And then we can return here for now. Then underneath here, we can just say next like this. So if we require auth, we're going to make an authentication check. Otherwise, we're going to go next to the next page. And why is this erroring? Expected. Oh yeah, I've missed the arrow function from our arrow function. The arrow from our arrow function. And there you go. Now you can see here, we're not getting redirected to anything. Nothing's happening. It's actually an error right now. And as you can see, an invalid navigation guard, because this route does not take us anywhere. When we go to someone with requires auth, we're not doing anything. So we just need to do a couple of checks to start. So let's do const token and set that equal to our local storage item token. We can then say if token exists, right? So if we have a token, we can then say next and allow it to go carry on to the next page. Otherwise, if we don't have a token, so we can actually return here instead of doing this. If we don't have a token, we're going to say next, and then we're going to say /login. This is going to say don't go to the next page, but redirect us to the login page. So if we have a token, this is where we actually need to check if the token is valid. But we can't do that until we build our server. So for now, we're just going to check if we have a token, then it will allow us to go to it. So let's try it out. Let's add a token ourselves. Now to do that, let's just put this at the bottom. To do that, we're going to go to our application tab in our inspector. We're going to go to our local storage and select this. We're going to double click in here and we're going to say token because that's the name, and then we're going to give it any random value, and now we have a token. So if we go to our root with a thing, you can see we can actually get to it, which obviously isn't right because this token isn't valid. But once we have built our server, we're going to make a check to say, is this token valid? If it's not, then we're going to get redirected back to login. So for now, let's just ignore that. Let's just refresh, and there we go. We're stuck on the login page. So let's style the login page up. Let's get it all ready, all looking good and fine. The first thing we want to do is go to our style.css page. We want to delete everything in here. We want to create our own root. And we want to create some variables. So let's just say primary. Now this primary is going to be a E11 D48. It's going to be like a crimson red. We're then going to have a primary dark, which is just going to be a darkened version of this. So we're going to have C3, 2, 3, 4 fold, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have a grey for our, neutral grey. So we're going to have a 9CA, 3AF. And then finally, we're going to have a, well, not finally, there's one more after this. We're going to have a light color with F3, F4, F6. And finally, a dark color, which is going to be a 111, 111, 827. There we go. And that's going to be the colors we use. We're now going to set a global sort of reset for everything. And we're going to remove the margin, the padding, and the box sizing. And we're going to set a font family for everything to be Montserrat. and then sans serif in case we don't have that font, but luckily I have it on my own machine. We're going to set a default styling for our links, and that's going to be just a color of far primary. We're then going to reset our input fields because we're going to be using a few of those. We'll set our appearance to none, our outline to none, a border to none, and our background to none. There we go. Now we just want to start, we want to create a global logo variable here. So we're just going to set this to display inline block like that. We're then going to have a font size of 1 rem. We're going to have a font weight of 900 because we want it to be bold. And we're going to add some letter spacing of 5 pixels. It's kind of like our logo. We're going to add a padding of 0.5 rem. But now we have an issue because we've got padding around our text. But then this letter spacing is also pushing it enough of 5 pixels. So I want to do padding right, and I want to do a calculation. I want to say 0.5 rem minus 5 pixels, because that's going to offset our letter spacing for us and make it look even. We then want to say border 2 pixels solid, and we're going to make it white. And we're just going to set our color also to white, because I want the text to be white as well. And then we'll set the margin bottom at 1.5 rem. And there you go. That's what we've got so far. And that's all we need in our style.css. We're going to be doing the rest of the styling in our actual components. So let's start off on the login page. Let's just remove everything else. We're going to solely focus on the login page. Although we do need to do some styling in the app. Actually, no, we'll do it in the login page. I think it'll work here. We don't actually need to change anything there. So in here, we're going to remove this header one quickly. We're going to set a header inside of here. We're going to pass this, but we're going to give it the class of logo. So it's going to disappear because obviously we've made it white as well, but we'll change that in a second. We're going to have a H2 that says login, and we're going to have a paragraph that says login or create an account to start using the super secret app. Obviously our logo isn't going to say login either, it's going to say secret or secret app. Well, you can name it whatever you want. Obviously this is just what I'm naming it right now. And now we're going to have a form, and we're just going to set a blank submit on this. We're going to say submit.prevent because we don't want it to actually do anything just yet because we haven't set up our API, but we want to see it. So now we're going to set up a label. But inside our label, we're going to have a span that says enter your email. And then we're going to have an input here, which is going to have the type of email. We're going to set up a, let's set up our script up here. And we're going to set it with the setup syntax sugar, shall I say. And we're going to import ref from view. We're then going to create a constant email which is equal to ref of just a blank string, and the same with our password. So now we can say fee model this to email, and that will bind it for us. We can then set a placeholder. Let's just do test at test.com. And let's break this down so it's easier to read, and there we go. And there you go. So it doesn't look great at the minute. Let's literally copy and paste this underneath, and we can say this: enter your password. We're going to change the type to a password and the model to password. We're then going to just change our placeholder to be a bunch of stars, because that way it looks like there's a hidden password in there, and that's your idea. And then we're going to do a type of submit button, which just says login. I'm going to break this down again just because I like the way it looks when they're broken down. It's easier to read in my opinion. And then under the form, we're going to have a footer. Now in the footer, we're going to have a paragraph tag that says don't have an account ? And now we're going to use a router link. Now the router link allows you to traverse pages that are in your router. And obviously we want to go to the register page, and we need to use this too, which is kind of like a href. And we're going to say /register there. And there you go. We can break this down as well so it's not so messy. And there you go, that's there. You can see also our link already has the red or the crimson styling we added to it before. So there we go. Now we've got our footer done, it's time to style it up. So let's do our style and let's make it scoped because we don't want this styling to leak anywhere else. We're going to set our main here and we're just going to display it as a flex. Actually, this is about right, except from needs a line item. So you can see here we've got display flex, flex direction of column because we want it to go down. And then we've got a line item center. We don't want that, we want it to be at the start for both because we want it all to start at the top left. The min height is good, but we want to change the background color to be our primary. Now, there you go. You can actually see the secret app text at the top there. We're also going to set the page's color to be white by default. And then underneath the main, we're going to have a header, which is going to have a padding of 1.5 rem, which is about 24 pixels. And there you go. That's already looking better. It doesn't look great, but we'll get there. So now let's also style our footer real quick. We'll just set a background color of white, a width of 100%, a color of far dark, because we're going to want our text to be dark on a white background, text align center, padding 1.5 rem, and padding bottom we're going to have 3 rem just to bring it up slightly. There we go. But that we need this to sit at the bottom of our page. So to do that, we're going to get our form. And in our form, we're just going to say flex 110%. And that's going to make it stretch the whole rest of the page, which is going to basically take up all the space it can. And now above this form, I'm just going to add a H2 with a font size of 2.125 rem. Very random, I know. I'm just randomly calculating these in my head. And there you go, we've got that. We then need a H2, but we need the paragraph next to it. So the paragraph next to our H2, we're going to say the font weight is going to be 500 because it needs to be a bit darker on this background, a bit thicker, shall I say. And we're going to set a font size of 1 rem, which is what it is currently, but just double making it 1 rem, obviously. Now, down in our form again, we're going to want to display this as a block because they don't always start as a block, which is, you know, not great. Let's do a border radius of 1.5 rem, 1.5 rem, 0, 0. That's getting rounded, but you can't see that currently. Oh, that's not even a radius, that's just a border. We need to say radius. We then just want to say background color of white. And there you go. So far, so good. Let's change the color of everything to be dark again. Well, we can actually probably even do a gray. Let's keep it a dark for now. We can do it on a per basis. And there you go. So that's looking alright. Although we need some padding. Let's do 4 rem for the top and bottom and 1.5 rem on the sides. There you go. That looks a lot better already. We can also do a box shadow to make it look like it's standing out off the page. So what we want to do is 0 pixels minus 4 pixels to bring it up, 12 pixels and 4 pixels again, with an RGBA of 0, 0, 0 and the alpha of 0.16. And there you go, you can see that subtle shadow appearing above. Now let's style our labels. Now our labels are going to be display box with a margin of 1.5 on the bottom, which you can see is messed up our form here. So we need to just add a width of 100% to bring it all the way across again. We then want to get these span inside of our label, and we want to display these as block to make sure the other stuff falls below it. We want to give these a color of light, grey. Light is way too dark. And then underneath our color, we'll have a font size of 1 rem, a font weight of 500, and a margin bottom of 0.5 rem. And there you go, that's pushed it down just a tad. We don't want to get an input, but we want to make sure it's not the type of submit. We don't want to change the submit input. So all we're going to do is just say type, and then we're going to say display box. It's actually really kind of close, not quite there. So we want display block 100%. We want the font size to be 1 rem. We don't actually want it to be 1.5. So let's bring that down. We want the font weight to also be 500. We want the color to be dark. The background color we want to be light. And there you go. We also want to remove the border. I don't think we need a border. And the border radius, we want to set this to about 1 rem. And there you go. That's already looking better. The padding, we're also going to set to 1.5 rem, but 1 rem on the sides to bring it in. And I think, you know, border radius, let's do 0.5. There we go. That looks better. I didn't like it as thick as it was. We're also going to remove the margin bottom, because that is not needed. And there you go. Copilot almost had it. It just made a few mistakes. Let's now do another. Let's actually copy this. And we're going to style the placeholder text itself. So we're going to say placeholder. And this is going to be a color of grey. We then want to make the font style italic. And there you go. So now as we type, you can see the difference between them. Now we want to style our actual submit button. So we're going to say input with the type of submit. We're going to display as block. Let's write this out and not use Copilot this time. So we're going to say display as block width. We actually want to do a fit content because we want it to only be, we want it to be a block level element, but we also want it to be fit content. Then we can also do margin 0 auto to bring it center. We can set a font size of 1.5 rem, a font weight of 700. We want to set the color to white. The background color we're going to have as our primary color. And we can add a padding of 1 rem the whole way around with a border radius of 0.5 rem, a cursor of pointer, and we're going to add a small transition to this of 0.4, you know what, 0.2 seconds, and I'm going to ease it the whole way around the animation. We then want to do the hover and make it a primary dark, and there you go. You can see that's got a nice little hover effect there. Cool, and that is our login page actually done. Now to change this to be our register page, we just need to copy this, paste the whole thing, go up to the top, change this to say register, change this to also, actually this can stay the same. Oh, what, I accidentally just full screen that. And then we need to change this. We need to add a second password, which will be a confirm password. Please, or confirm your password. And we want to change this to say register. We want to say already have an account. Already have an account. Login, and then we want to change this to say login as well. And I think we're good. Let's hit the register page, and there you go. You can see it's already set up to be our register page. And that is as simple as that is. Now we could have just copied we could have put these stylings in components and also moved labels into components and stuff like that. But for the general simplicity of this, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. I also need to create a new password called conf password. Just so we have it there. And there we go. That's all set up. So now we have the styling, the nice look of this. Let's try and go to homepage. We can't. I'm just going to quickly comment out our before each. Go to our homepage, and you can see it's looking pretty plain. Now, I'm actually okay with it looking pretty plain because we're not going to do much with it. However, I do want to just add the main tag and say padding 1.5 rem to bring it in. We're then going to add a button underneath. That's just going to say log out. I think I'm fine with that. We'll just set the H1 to have a margin bottom of 1 rem. And there you go. That's fine. That works. We're not going to do much of this because the whole point is the register form. And we want to make the register form look as good as it possibly can be. And there we go. Now we're back to the login page. So we have our login stuff. We have the register form. We have 2 forms, but they don't do anything yet. There's nothing they do. We can't log in. We can't register. How do we do it? We need to use Stytch, but to use Stytch, we need a server. Now, to have a server, we need to use Node. That sounded confusing. I apologize. But basically, we'll create a new folder, and we're just going to call it server, or you can call it API. Oh, that's ASPU. I'm just going to call it server. And now we're going to open this up in our integrated terminal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a folder in here called server.js. You can name this whatever you want. But down here in our terminal, I'm going to say npm init.y. And that's just going to generate a package.json file for us. And yeah, we need to do a couple of other things though. We need to install some dependencies. And one of those the dependencies is going to be, we need to say install or I, and we're going to need express. Now this is going to be how we route us API, so the routes we use /register, /login, etc. We're then going to need something called .env, which is going to be our, allow us to use a .env file for our environment variables where we're going to store our API keys. We're then going to use CORS to stop any CORS issues or errors appearing when we're trying to make requests. And I think that's it, but I'm probably wrong. Oh, we also need one more, but we need to enter this one first. Oh, and we also need Stytch. Sorry, so npm I Stytch as well, because obviously that's going to be the main thing we use for our API. Now we have that, we need a development dependency, so that's why we use this -d, and we're just going to say Nodemon. Now Nodemon allows you to not have to constantly stop and start your server. It will automatically restart your server every time you make a change. And to get that to work, we need to open up our package.json file. We need to create a def script, and inside of our def we're going to say Nodemon server.js. And that's it. We also want to do one more thing. Now, I love using the keyword import. So like inside of our main.js, we use this import router. I like using this. In Node, you actually are supposed to say require and require the assets you want. However, I prefer using the module approach. So we're going to set a type. And we're going to use the module type, which allows us to use the import syntax instead of the require syntax. Now, you can use the require syntax if you prefer. I just like using this one. So let's close the package now. We're done with that. We can actually close a lot of these files. Let's close them all and we'll open up the one we need. And the only one we need is server.js. So in here, let's just import, let's shut this sidebar. We're going to say import express from express. We're going to import, we don't need body parser because that's built into Express now, but what we do need is .env from .env. We also need to import, we're going to import 2 things, envs and client from Stytch. Now, if we click this, you can see here that Stytch exports client and our envs. From their respected folders. We can also get user search operator and this other stuff if we need it later on, but for now we only need these 2 things from Stytch. We then want to import our CORS from CORS as well. And now let's start using it. So let's first off start by creating a... Let's start off by getting our .env config. So we're going to say config. And that's just going to allow us to use our config, and that's all we need. So let's go into our server, and we need to create a new .env. That's not how you spell .env. Rename to .env. And that's going to be where our environment variables start. So if we go back to our code here, what we need is this project ID. So let's copy that, go back to our thing, and just say project underscore ID. And we can set that equal to our thing. I like to put them in quotes. I just think it looks neater. And we also need our secret, which we're going to get from down here. And there we go. Now, don't use my secret or my project ID because I will be deleting this project along with its API keys and secrets. and it won't work for you. So make sure you go and create your own Stytch account and use your own keys when testing this. And there we go. So now we have those, and that's all we need in there. Now underneath this, we need to create a new app, Express app, and this is how we actually surf our data. So let's now in here say npm run def inside of here, and that will start our development surfer. Although it's not good, you can see clearly next to it, it's not going to do anything until we actually listen for the port. Okay, so once we have created or started our app, Express app, all we want to do is create our client. So we're going to call this let's call it our client. You can call it Stytch or whatever else. We'll just create a new client. Now this needs an object, and the first thing we need is our project ID, which we're going to get from process.env.project_ID. It's the exact same what we named in our .env, so this here. We then need to get our secret, which is going to be process.env.secret. And finally, we need to set the environment we're using. So currently, we're in a development environment, so we need to make sure we tell Stytch we're using that one. So we're going to say envs.test. Now you can see these. If we click this, you can see we have a test and a live environment. We just need to use the test environment. Otherwise, it won't work because we're only in test mode, etc., etc. So here we go. We have our client. We can even get our port from our env, or I'm going to set this to 3333, and we're not going to set our port. We're just going to let it default to the triple or the quadruple 3 here later on. Now we also want to set our app to use course. This will stop us from having any issues. We then want to set it to use express.json, which will allow us to actually pass through JSON code or JSON strings to our surfer, and it won't throw any errors, which is good. We need that. And let's start off with our register route, because that's what we're going to need the most. So let's just, I don't know why I click back on that. Let's get those up as well, just so it looks nice. So what we're going to need is our app.post. Now this is a post request, and we're going to make the request to /register here. We're then going to set this as an asynchronous function that takes a request and a response, and then we're going to use an arrow function here. We then want to ask our whoever sends us stuff, we want to make sure they send us an email and a password, and we're going to say rec.body there. We can then check if these exist, so if we actually sent that, but for this one we can do it in the front end for now. So we're going to say const, and we're going to say response is equal to, and we're going to say await client, and now this is where we start using our password. So we're going to say we're going to use the passwords method. You can actually use magic links, you can use OAuth, you can use everything you want here. We're just going to use passwords because this is how you create simple email and password accounts. And then we've got to pass through a few things. We've got to pass through our email, the password, so these are going to be pulled in from this body here. We then want to set how long we want our session to last before it logs us out and makes our token invalid. And we're going to set it to 60, which means 60 minutes. So once this expires, you're going to need to either use a refresh token to get a new token or re-log in to get another new token. So we're just going to say if this all goes through well and we register our account, we can then say resp. We can say res.json to send a request back to our front end, and we're going to make sure we tell them it was successful. We're going to send them a little message saying user created successfully, and then we're going to pass them back the user's token, which is going to be resp. And it's just going to be session token. Now, if this errors in any way, if it doesn't come back to the 200 response, it's going to throw a catch. And we're going to need to catch this error inside of here. And what we want to say is we're going to log the error to start with, just in case, just if there is an error, we can actually see what it is. We then want to tell our surfer, our front end, sorry, that it was not successful. Unfortunately, it was not successful. We're then going to pass a message, and it's going to be error.error message. And then we can pass back the whole error too if we want to, although this might be pretty useless on the front end, but it's fine, we'll send it all back anyway. And there you go, that's going to be everything we need to send to our front end. So let's create our login route. Now the login route is actually very similar to the register route, and by that I mean it basically is the same. So let's change this to say login. We've got our email and password again. The only thing different is instead of saying create, we say authenticate, and that's just going to say check that our email and password is correct. If they are, log us in. And there you go. That's here. We can change this to say user logged in successfully. And we just need to pass back the same token. And again, we can just use the same error because it's going to, the Stytch will provide us with an error message and an error. If you want to use a custom error, you can, or a custom message, you can. That's up to you. I just like using the ones they provide because they're pretty informative as they are. Now we need another one which is going to use this exact same thing again. But this time we're going to say authenticate. And this is just to check if our token is still valid, to make sure that our token we've entered or added isn't wrong. And that's where we're going to use, if you remember in our View navigation guard, we've set a comment there to say we need to check that our token is valid. So if we have a token, that's where we're going to be checking this here. So I'm going to say session token. That's all we're going to get from the server. So we're going to send a session token. And instead of passwords, we're going to say sessions.authenticate, and we don't need any of this. We only need to pass through our session token. We can then do the same thing. True token, we can say token is valid, and we can again leave the catch the exact same. We don't even need to send a token back for this one because we already have the token. We've sent it here. So we don't even need to have a catch that response at all. We could just say await client there. And there you go. Now we need one more route. I think I said the last one was one more route. I apologize. And this one is again similar. We can just copy the authenticate route. And down here we can say log out, because you know you want to log out. If you log out, if you just delete your token from your browser, that's great, you'll log out. However, if someone else has that token somewhere else, they can still log in with your token, and you want to completely stop people from doing that. So to do that, when we log out, we want to revoke our session token, and that will destroy our whole session, and no one will need it. So if our response works and it goes through, we'll get a 2 and we can say successfully logged out. And that's all we need to do. And that is the whole server. We just need to start our server now. Now to start our server, we need to say app.listen, and we can pass our port and then server started on port. And that is going to start our server. So if we open, you can see our server is actually started on port 3333, which is great. Now, how do we actually check this all works? Now, you could use Postman, but since we already built our front end, we might as well just get our front end working. So what we want to do is close the server here, or don't actually stop the server, but just close the file. Go into our source, and we're going to start off with our register route, because this is the route we're going to need first. We're going to need to register before we can do anything. At the top here, we're going to need to import something else. We're going to import use router from view router. We're then going to create const router is equal to use the router, and this is just going to give us access to our router to be able to, you know, change pages and whatnot. We now want a function called register, which is going to be equal to an asynchronous arrow function. And in here, we want to check if our email or our password or our confirmed password is true. If any of these do not exist, we're going to return an alert that says please fill in all fields. We're then going to check if our password is not equal to our confirmed password. If they don't match, then we're just going to alert passwords do not match. And then finally, we're going to make our request to the server. So we're going to say const res is equal to await. And we're going to make a fetch request using the fetch API. And we're going to say http:/localhost. And we can pass in our 333 here port. And then we can say register. we can then we need to pass through some options. We need to tell it what method we're using, and we're going to be using posts, because in our surfer we've set them to be post requests. We then need to tell it what type of content we're going to be sending it, and the content type is going to be application/JSON. We then need a body. Now the body is going to be our email and our password, but we need to stringify it into JSON before we send it to our server, so our server can actually read it. And we're just going to basically pass through our email and our password. There you go. So we've done our validation, which is right here. We're then making a request. We then need to say .then. So when the surfer gets our request and everything's all good or it's all bad, it will then need to process our request. So we need to make sure once the request comes back, we convert it back into JSON so we can read it easily. We then want to say if res.success, that means it's all gone through good. We can say local storage.set item, and we can set our token here. And we can set it to res.token, because that's what we're going to be sending back. We then want to say router.push, and we're going to want to push to our home page, meaning we want to basically change page to log in to our home page. We're then going to say else alert rest.message, which will give us the error message we had. You might want to do more issues there. You might want to do some more checks here to say what type of code it is or whatnot, but for now this will work for a simple application. So all we want to do is in our form change this to say register, and that is all we need to do to get this working. That is how simple this is. Stytch makes this a lot easier to do than most other providers. I'm not just saying that because it's a sponsored video either. They generally do. I'm actually considering using all their stuff in my own projects that are coming out soon. So keep your eyes open for those as well, guys, by the way. But anyway, back to the register page. So now let's see it's all registered. So let's say tylerpottsdev@gmail.com. And let's try a really weak password. We're going to say test1234, test1234, hit register, passwords do not up. How did I manage that? Let's just check for them both. Alright, here we go again. Password, excuse me. Let's just double check. This says conf password, it does. Then I am definitely, let's just do test 1 2 3 4 really slowly. Test 1 2 3 4 register. I have broken my passwords here. So if my password doesn't, so I've just realized these obviously are references, so we need to say .value at the end of all of these to make sure that we're actually getting the right thing. And there we go. Now let's try this again. So let's just type out my email, type in my password twice and hit register, and password does not meet our strength requirements. Perfect. So now let's say our super secret 1 2 3 4, super secret 1 2 3 4, and hit register. I still somehow didn't. Super secret 1 2 3 4, super secret 1 2 3 4, register. Wow, okay, we need to go stronger. Let's add a smiley face. And register. A user with that email already exists for this project. And there we go, we logged in. I think I clicked it twice, so you might want to make a check to make sure you don't hit the register twice. And there you go, we're now logged in. We have our token, so we can check that by going here, and you can see we actually have a legit token that is valid, which is great. Let's close this. Let's check our server, see if there's any logs. And there you go, you can see duplicate email. That's the second request we made. Password doesn't meet our strength required. Weak password. You can see here it gives you all of this information there. And there you go. Let's just close that then. And there you go. Now we're logged in. Now how do we log out? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a similar thing. So let's create a script above. So we're going to say script with a setup above. And we're just going to straight up, all we need to do is create a function called logout. We're going to set that equal to an arrow function. We can make it asynchronous, I think, if we want to. And we basically, all we want to do, we need to import router or use router from FuRouter. And we need to obviously set our router to be use router. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then inside of our logout function, we just want a constant called res, which is going to be equal to an await fetch, and we can just say http localhost 333 / logout, and I'm not going to lie, that has everything we need in it anyway. So we're going to pass. We need to change this to say session token there, and we're going to get our token from the store. And there you go. So we've got our logout request here. We just need to make sure it's successful. If res.success, we're going to remove the item token, and we're going to move ourselves back to the login page there. And there you go. We now need to just set this button, say at click log out. So let's see if it works. Log out, and there you go. It's redirected us back to the login page. Perfect. That's working. Now we need to do a similar thing. So I'm actually going to copy this register function, and we're going to go to our login page. And in here, we're just going to paste this underneath. We don't need to check for our confirm password for this one. Let's close that sidebar. Please fill in all fields. That's fine. We don't need to check. We don't need this confirm password check either. We now need to change this to say login. And that is all we need to do. It's going to do the exact same thing, and it's going to work. Again, we could have turned this all into components and just change them by depending on what page. We want to change this to say login. And let's just pass this down here. Do we also have to use, we don't have router here either, so we need to import our use router and say const router is equal to use router, like that. Now we can also set our form to use the login function. Hit save, and let's try it out. So we need our email, which is tylerpotsdef@gmail.com, and then our super secret 1234 smiley face. Log in, and there you go. You can see we're now logged in. It all works, and that's great. And that's everything we needed for this simple application. However, there is one thing we did not cover in this video, and that's the new reset password feature for the passwords product. The new reset password feature has two ways to deal with it. The first way is the traditional send an email, open the reset link, and change your password, and then you log in. But this is a bit long, especially when you just want to quickly log in. So Stytch have come up with an awesome new system which uses their magic links. So for the method, you click a reset button and get an email with a magic link that logs you straight into the application or the website, saving you time and effort. As a challenge, I want you to try and build this into your system yourself, and let me know how you get on in our Discord server. I look forward to seeing the results. Now you can see how powerful this combination is. Using Vue for its reactivity, we're going to be using Node for its versatility, and Stytch for its amazing API. Now guys, if you want to have a look at Stytch, check in the description for the links below. Click on them, have a look at Stytch. Stytch is awesome. They have a lot more stuff than just passwords and login. They have email links, magic emails, and they handle all the hard work, and they give you a super easy API that's still super secure, which is great. So don't forget to check them out down below. But for now guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're learning something new. If you have, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button if you're new around here, and also don't forget to leave a comment down below and share the video with your friends. You know, if you've got someone who wants to learn, share it with them. We're also hosting some competitions on my Discord server where you can actually win prizes and get ranks and stuff in the server too, just by competing in some coding challenges. So have a look down below in the description to find the Discord link there, guys. And for now, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.